every time I think I'm done arguing with a Drake fan, they pull me back in. I don't know what it is with you guys. You're so easy to argue with. The year of our Lord 2025. And I should say, like I say every time, the vast majority of Drake fans and Kendrick fans, they're not invested in this at any level beyond just like being like, oh, I listen to Drake more or I listen to Kendrick more. You know, they're not like online arguing on behalf of their favorite artist all the time. So this is a terminally online conversation to begin with. Okay, I can admit that. But it is kind of funny and fun to dunk on them, especially when they start deleting comments. Today, I noticed a lot of interesting things going on. Drake fans have been saying that it's too hard to find the album on Spotify, which I thought was funny because almost immediately I went to my Spotify and because I remember the day the album released, how insanely easy it was for me to find the album because it was on my front page. I don't listen to Drake. I don't have him in any of my playlists, but the Rap Caviar and the R&B playlists were popping up, and who was right at the front of it? Drake, right? But now I have Spotify open and it says new releases for you. It has Absol, it has West Side Gun, Kodak Black, and then it has Drake. It has some sexy songs for you. Not exactly a very hard album to find. And even then, there's this like implication for whatever reason that you can't just type in his name if you really wanted the album. Besides the fact that it's on the front page of Spotify for somebody that doesn't listen to Drake at all. At least not on Spotify. I did listen to the new album on YouTube. I don't want to listen to it on Spotify because I don't want my algorithm to think that like I listen to him. It doesn't seem to matter because he still pops up. But I did listen to some sexy songs for you. Wasn't for me. What can I say? Did he change up any of his flow? Did he change up any of his lyrics or really anything? No. I mean, of course not. What are you going to do? You know, not for me, but it's fine. It's okay. We'll all be okay. But I don't know. I find it funny. I typed in Drake. The first song that pops up is Give Me a Hug. The first album that pops up is Some Sexy Songs for You. It's so insanely easy to find it that it kind of makes you think that maybe some of his fans are really stupid. Like maybe the people commenting like, oh, it's just too hard. They're holding him back by making the album so hard to find. It's literally on the front page. And I'd imagine that if you like listen to Drake all the time, it's even easier to find. You might have gotten a notification. There's artists that I listen to all the time. Spotify sends me a notification when they put out something new, whether it's a single or an album. They send me a message. I get a notification on my phone. I get like a notification, like an email. I'd imagine if you actually listen to Drake, it's even easier to find. But it is what it is. It's right on the front page. I think let's see if he's still at the front of Rap Caviar. Hit the playlist. Let's see. Rap Caviar. Who is at the front of Rap Caviar? It is still Drake. It's still Drake. New music from Drake, Offset, and Young Nudie. It's just not hard to find, man. So there's let's be real here. There's a little bit of denial maybe, but I think what's even funnier is when you get into arguments with him, okay? Because sometimes I can't resist it, right? Today, actually it was really the other day, but today is the day that the guy decided to delete his comments and block me because I guess he got upset. I don't know. I didn't like call him stupid or anything. I just kind of pointed out, I used his own tool, I guess, against him. Basically, he was posting this website called Artist Tools, and what it does is it tells you how many botted playlists a certain song is in. And he looked up Not Like Us, and out of the thousands and thousands of playlists that were made with the song in it, 25 or 30 of them, I can't remember exactly what it was because he deleted the picture, but about 25 to 30 of them were in botted playlists. Now, in the grand scheme, I'm not entirely sure how relevant that might be, considering the fact that I also looked up songs from The Weeknd, Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande. They were all in botted playlists to some extent. Some more than others, some quite a bit more than Not Like Us, but I don't know. 30 out of thousands and thousands didn't seem like too big of a deal, but I decided that if it was that big of a deal to him, that I'd look up the boy. I mean, why not, right? He told me that the new song or the new album, Some Sexy Songs for You, had none of the songs were in any botted playlist. Now, when I looked up the album, that was true in theory. When I looked up the album, they told me that they didn't actually have enough data to tell how many botted playlists the song was in, but he must have skimmed past that part. So I decided to look up any older Drake, from Scorpion, Certified Lover Boy, For All the Dogs. Guess what? Every single song that I looked up was in many, many, many botted playlists. Some quite a bit more than Not Like Us. Interesting. Scorpion's a particularly interesting one because at the time of the release of Scorpion, the Drake album, people were literally getting refunds from Spotify because of how insanely hard they forced that album down people's throats. Just because Drake is doing a bad Spanish accent or just bad Spanish, that doesn't mean that the song should be on a Latin playlist. But the songs were. But I let him know this situation, but more importantly, I compared a Kendrick song with a Drake song. I looked up King Kunta, which is from To Pimp a Butterfly, which came out in 2015, and I looked up First Person Shooter, and I used them as a comparison because they were in the same amount of playlists relatively, you know what I mean? First Person Shooter came out in 2023. However, First Person Shooter was in more than 3 times the amount of botted playlists than King Kunta was. And it has less plays, but it's also a newer song. But you get the idea, right? It was very easy to kind of point out, hey, just making you aware. I used your own tool. And it kind of makes your argument look ass. And he deleted his comments. He seemed to be very upset. I got a notification and it looked like his comment was in all caps. But before I can actually read it, it was gone. So maybe he blocked me. Maybe he deleted it. Some people said that they couldn't see his picture either. So maybe he just deleted the one comment of him trying to epically own me, I guess. But it didn't happen. I epically owned him. But you get the idea. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's rewarding. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme, none of this shit matters at all. But just knowing, like I didn't have to troll, you know? I didn't have to be like your mom or some dumb shit. I literally used the exact tool that he used, and that made him mad enough to be like, fuck it, I'm out immediately, which to me is worth it every single time. But that's what happens. These terminally online Drake fans, they project a lot. There's a lot of projection. You know, there's a lot of, oh, Drake makes music for dudes that get bitches. And then, of course, you'll see somebody retweet that, and then you'll see like 2 weeks ago, they made it. They posted a tweet that was like, why is dating so hard? I talked about this before many times. I might have even brought it up in this video, but you know I lose my train of thought all the time. They're always talking about bitches, man. But they don't have any bitches, you know? Maybe it's because they keep referring to women as bitches. You know what I'm saying? It could be that. You know, it could be the fact that their personality is awful. They could just be hideously ugly. And I'm not a 10 out of 10 myself, but I'm telling you right now, I've seen some dudes throwing around the whole Drake makes music for dudes that get bitches. That's why you don't like it. I've seen some heinously ugly dudes saying that shit. Like just the ashiest of ugly ass dudes saying things like that. It's truly revolutionary. And you know what? They might have a point, you know? I can't say that I get a lot of bitches either. Mainly because I have a wife. But also because I listen to Kendrick Lamar. You know, if I listen to more Drake, I could be having tons of affairs. And that would be an absolutely terrible thing to do to my wife. But we don't give a fuck about wives because we're a Drake listener. We only care about bitches. Bitches that we don't get. They're living vicariously through the boy a lot. It's very strange behavior, you know, to talk about bitches this, bitches that. But then you like their messages. They don't have any messages. There's no one in their DMs. They don't start with me. You're living vicariously through Aubrey, and it's a weird shit. Stop. Let's stop pretending. You know, they'll desperately try to find a video of like an attractive woman dancing to Drake, be like, look, I told you the bitches love the boy. And it's like, why would I care? Like, why would I care that this other man is out getting bitches? It doesn't add up to me. Why would I be mad about that? But why would I also be like, hell yeah, brother, get bitches? I don't know this person. I don't know him in person. He's not a close friend of mine. It's just, it's very strange behavior. And, I don't know. It's just, you know, a lot of people throw out the term, freeing the slaves music in the Drake circle as well. You know, Kendrick and his freeing the slaves music. You know, they said the same thing about Doechii too, which is an interesting. No, they didn't say the same thing. They said she was like, it was Harriet Tubman music, which is, I don't know, man. It's very interesting to say that something is free the slaves music as if that like freeing the slaves was a bad thing. I don't know. You know, the idea of just like, oh man, what do you mean he wants to uplift the black community? Oh my god, dude, we just want to party. That's part of the problem. But it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with just wanting to party. But if we're being realistic here, I think the largest group of people that just want to party is white dudes, which is why YOLO was one of the most quoted lyrics back when Take Care came out. I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe it's been too long. Do people forget that, like, YOLO was a huge white people slogan? And it came from Drake. It came from the motto. You know how many white people I've seen cover up their mouths when they get to, that's the motto, YOLO, because they're afraid, you know, to be caught saying the N-word soft A? You know how common it was to see white people with YOLO clothing listening to Drake? You know how many white people I know that listen to Drake? It's a lot, man. I know a lot of white people that listen to Kendrick Lamar too, but quite frankly, this whole argument of like who has more white fans, it doesn't mean shit to me. Who cares? At the end of the day, it's about the art. And I will say this chart watching shit is mad boring. I've never really been into it. It's always just kind of felt nice whenever Kendrick puts out a new album. I've never really cared how many sales it got in the first week. I never really cared where it placed on Spotify charts, but I'm at the point where I'm like looking just because it feels good to know that it, you know, Not Like Us is still number one and Luther's still up there too. Luther might be number one above Not Like Us now. It's cool, but it's like, I can't imagine, like, it's crazy to imagine just doing that all the time for a decade, because that's what they did for a decade. Just stare at the charts, and they got too caught up in those charts. You know, they say that like on how people act online is not, you know, that it's not the same in real life. What the charts show is not real life either, as it turns out, you know, because sometimes, you know, you see you've been seeing those charts and you would be thinking that Drake would have an easy time. You see those charts from before, you would think, oh, Drake is going to destroy Kendrick. But now Kendrick is at the top of the charts, and it's like, whoops. But of course, now it's because of the bots. You know, it's all the things that they would get mad at people for accusing Drake of, like botted streams and botted playlists and all this stuff. Now, of course, they're accusing Kendrick of that. And if anyone would know about botted anything better than anyone, it would be Drake. I mean, look at how forced Scorpion was. But you get the idea. It's been, it's a lot, but it is funny. I should probably at some point resist the urge, but I will say this. Like I said, I was at work and I was just on my phone and I saw this comment and I was like, I need to say a little bit of something about this. So I said a little bit of something about it. And I got paid on the clock. It's kind of like going to the bathroom when you're at work and knowing like, I'm taking a dump and I'm getting paid for this, really, in theory. But I was just doing that on my phone. You know, it's a slow period right now. I'm at work a lot, but it's been a little slow. So just get into a little online argument and get paid at the same time. It's pretty fucking sweet. I'll be real with you. I've never really had a job like this before. Normally I'm too busy lifting heavy things up and putting them down. So it's cool to have the free time to argue with Drizzy users online. Because what else am I going to do? You know? While I'm at work. Anyways, the album's easy to find. Spotify isn't holding it back, and really anyway, it's literally on my front page as new releases for you, next to Absol and Westside Gun and Kodak Black and some EDM artists and stuff like that, because your boy, he has a lot of variety in his playlist, you know. Picks for you. It's also in Discover Picks for you. And it's in the Rap Caviar playlist and the R&B playlist, which also pop up on my front page because I listen to rap and R&B all the time. So the album's easy to find. There are plenty of men that are not getting any bitches listening to Drake, and no amount of listening to Drake is going to change that. There are, of course, men that do listen to Drake and get bitches, but there's also men like Henry Cavill that are super into nerdy shit, and they're extremely handsome, so it really doesn't matter, you know? In theory, you could be really into The Witcher, like Henry Cavill is, aka Superman, and you could make the argument that men that are into the Witcher series get bitches. Now, would that be true? Probably not, but Henry Cavill's really into The Witcher, and I'm sure he gets bitches all the time. Or he's married. I don't know. Could be one of the two. And what was the final thing we talked about? Oh yeah, the bot thing. Congratulations, you found some botted playlists. Very easy to find some for the boy as well. Use artist.tools. That's the site that he used. It's literally just artist.tools. You might have to sign. I had to make an account in order to like go through. I put way too much effort into this, but I was at work, so I had the free time. And like I said, I found plenty of examples of, you know, the boy being in botted playlists. It wasn't very hard. It was actually harder to find that than it was to find the album on Spotify, which they say is impossible, even though it's right on the fucking front page. As somebody that doesn't have Drake in any of his playlists and never listens to Drake on Spotify because I don't want to fool the algorithm into thinking that I'm interested in his shit. I literally listen to it on YouTube, and then I hit do not recommend this shit to me again. But it is what it is. For those that might be wondering, would I do a review of some sexy songs for you? The answer is no. I want to, if I'm going to be talking about albums, I want to talk about stuff that I like. And there's albums by other artists that I really, really enjoy. But I'm not going to sit here and waste time bitching about some sexy songs for you. And the biggest reason is because it's not even that it's bad. It's just that it's so boring. And I think, to me, that's worse. So, no,